Now, some junior high school teachers in the northern, northeast and savannah regions have abandoned classes over what they describe as poor conditions offered them. The teachers were being trained in the new JHS syllabus workshop to enable them train others when they return to their various districts. They, however, tell JoyNews arrangements for accommodation and feeding were made poorly, so they are refusing to sit in for the workshop. Most of them who spoke to JoyNews said when they arrived on Sunday, they were provided accommodation at the Get Fund hostel, which were all unkempt. They added that meals provided have been terrible and transportation they are being offered after the close of workshop is 200 Ghana cedis, regardless of their destination. They say it is against this backdrop they are refusing to sit in for the training. Now, on phone with us now is one of the teachers, and he has agreed to speak to us on condition of anonymity. Thanks for joining us, sir. Let's begin with the accommodation. What are your specific concerns?
Thank you very much, Daniel. With regards to the accommodation, you would realize that these are hostels that were vacated by the students when COVID set in. And what we reported on Saturday in the evening, we were expecting that the place would have been fumigated for us to move in. This wasn't done. Then you realize that even in this era of COVID, there are parents, 6 of us, adults, in each room, 6 of us. Can you imagine this? And the water there, the taps there are not flowing. You get up in the morning, no water to bath, no water to pray for our brothers and sisters who are also Muslims. And you expect us to stay in these, hostels and to be trained, to go back to also train other teachers to help implement the new curriculum.
But will this not affect the students who are coming back to school in January, sir?
Yes, it will definitely affect them. And for us as teachers, we are also concerned about the fact that this would go down to affect the child who has no direct link to what is happening. But we want to send a signal to our leaders that the time has come for them to treat the teacher, in a more decent way. How many of our leaders would agree to do this? We are in Christmas. Very soon we'll be celebrating New Year. We should have been at our respective homes with our families to also enjoy the festivities. We have abandoned all this because we know that if we help in grooming the next generation, Ghana would be a better place in the next 10, 20 years. So we, having done all this, we should also be given, a decent treatment.
And this treatment, we understand, extends to transportation and feeding as well?
Definitely.
Explain that for us.
Yes. So we know for a fact that we're supposed to have been provided with snacks, which have not been given. We know also for a fact that the amount allocated per head for feeding is some 50 Ghana cedis. And I would be happy if your reporter can come here tomorrow or even this afternoon to see the kind of food they give us. We queue up every morning to take porridge and tea as breakfast. And I tell you, it's funny that even any farmer passing by can just come in, join the queue and take the breakfast. We are not kids. Get a decent place for us to eat, to have a peace of mind, to learn and to go and teach our colleagues. And the food they give us is not worth 10 Ghana cedis. So if someone is giving 50 cedis for food, and if you even want to cheat him, give him 40 cedis worth of food and packet the 10 cedis. That is even if there's a need for you to cheat him.
So how do you know that you're being given 60 cedis, as in your facilitators are being given 60 cedis to train you?
Yes, because this is not the only place where the training is taking place. It is taking place across all the regional capitals in Ghana currently. And we speak to our colleagues in the other regions. And we know for a fact, we spoke to our colleagues in the Upper East region, where their organizers have even decided to convert their supper and their breakfast into cash for them. And here we are asking for that, and they are saying no.
So is it that you don't like the food you are being given, or you would prefer that the food is converted to cash for you?
My brother, we need decent treatment. Even if they are giving us food, it should be worth the amount allocated for food.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. He's one of the aggrieved teachers, and he spoke to us on condition of anonymity. But some of the teachers agreed to speak to us on camera. Take a look.
We have been patient from the first day, second day up to the third day today. So if we are revolting against anything, I think we have been patient for far too long. Yes. They have not been able to specifically tell us exactly what is expected of us.
Even no
And most of us, as we stand here, have not at all.
Teachers.
No opening ceremony. Because the whole place is filled.
We are taking breakfast on the floor.
We are queuing for food.
Like class 3 students.
There is queuing for food. We have to queue for food. Stand outside to eat. Some colleagues here have about 2-3 wives. They are landlords. Have 4. And yet they... This is the third day. We were here on Saturday and we have been able to comport ourselves from Saturday up to now. And since Saturday up to now, issues were raised. One of the issues was accommodation.
The problem we now have with them is that we are now going to this column. We are
Training of trainers.
And which we are also, in fact, that said we had on because who are privileged to be here.
You're live on Joy News. Today, let's move to other stories now. And Member of Parliament-elect for Ejiso constituency, John Kuma, is rallying private support to build broken-down bridges in the constituency. The biggest among the projects is the one linking Adakujache and Kokobra, which broke down in 1968. So far, a group of contractors working in the area contributed to the completion of one of the abandoned bridges. Nana Aljima followed the MP-elect who visited the project sites and filed this report.
The destruction of the bridge linking Adakujache and Kokobra after a heavy downpour in 1968 cut off the two communities which are dependent on each other. Chief of Adakujache, Nana Oseibo Sompem III, says efforts to fix the bridge yielded little results over the years.
Since 68,
The collapse of the bridge has affected movement to Kokobra and other communities. As a kid, I used this route to school, but now you have to go through a main road, which prolongs the journey.
With the intervention arranged by the MP-elect, over 200,000 cedis will be spent on fixing this portion of the bridge. Already, one of such bridges at Asaman has been fixed. Under this partnership with some contractors, drivers had to use a metal slab to support the bridge, which had partly caved in. Some of them showed their gratitude.
It has inconvenienced us. We couldn't cross the bridge in the rainy season. Sometimes, the passengers had to get down and push the vehicle before we continue the journey.
Bridge now we entity the nebu ya beka kitue bi e wokwano nti na se first no cry bu condemn no cry na se ntimi fa ho cry ti eko kwaso eko father die bi e beto so ti wo ba no slide say wo atwam.
Meanwhile, MP-elect for Ejiso constituency, John Kuma Ampontua, says his tenure will aim at helping improve transportation in the area.
We are doing this work through friends who are road contractors and building contractors, and we are not relying on government funding in the two bridges that we have done. So far, I have been able to convince about 3 road construction companies who are already working for government to pick up some of these bridges as corporate social responsibility to help us improve the conditions of the people of Ejiso. And so far, so good. They have been very supportive. I believe that in the next 21 days, we are going to complete the second bridge. There are a few other bridges that we are still talking for them to look at how they can support the communities.
For Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
Now, the Bono East Regional Secretariat of the National Democratic Congress has described preliminary investigations conducted by the police in CID in relation to the Techiman South shootings as full of falsehoods and inaccuracies. The party, at a press conference addressed by its Regional Secretary Mohammed Shamsuddin Ali, called on the government to establish a proper investigative committee to investigate the matter in order to guarantee peace in the region. My colleague Anas Sabit monitored the briefing and came through with the following report.
At a press conference organized by the Bono East Regional NDC and addressed by the party's Regional Secretary Mohammed Shamsuddin Ali, the party accused the police of being in bed with the governing New Patriotic Party. Mr. Shamsuddin Ali described narratives made by the Director General of the CID, COP Isaac Kenyabua, in relation to the Techiman South coalition as full of falsehoods and inaccuracies.
We have invited you here this morning purposely to make some vital correction in the distortion of facts in the preliminary investigation made by the police CID and the statement made by the Inspector General, the Director General of CID, COP Isaac Kenyabua, which are full of inaccuracy and falsehood, corroborating our belief that the police department are seriously in bed with the MPP government. This action by the police, we believe, will not augur well for the nation in deepening our democracy in the African continent.
The party accused the police of acting unprofessionally and called on government to establish what it called a proper investigative committee, as it has lost trust in the police CID.
What I want to say here is that the police should not play with the intelligence of the good people of this region and the country as a whole. The police behaved unprofessionally, and they should, as a matter of urgency, bring the perpetrators to book and ensure that justice is served to the people who were affected. We are, by this press conference, calling on government to set up a proper investigative committee to investigate this matter and bring the perpetrators to book in order to guarantee peace in the region. We can't trust the police CID to do a good job, since they have shown clearly that they can't be neutral and transparent in this matter, since the perpetrators of this monstrous crime are their colleagues.
On the subject of coalition, however, the NDC is still standing by its earlier claims that coalition was not done properly at the Techiman South Coalition Center.
Looking at the incident that occurred at the Bono-Champem war, proper coalition were not done. If they claim they had done coalition, the proper coalition hasn't taken place.
The party described the actions of the returning officer for the Techiman South constituency as criminal, thereby justifying the attempts made by its Techiman South parliamentary candidate and other executives to stop the declaration.
This is where our people were resisting. You can see our candidate and our people resisting, because it is each and every individual right to prevent someone in committing a crime. The man wants to commit a crime because he's not using the legally mandated pink sheet. So he's committing a crime. He was stealing. That is why our men were preventing.
They reiterated earlier calls by the leadership of the parliamentary caucus of the NDC to recollate the Techiman South parliamentary results. Reporting for JoyNews, Anas Sabit, Techiman.
Let's stay a bit further in this story, and security analyst Adib Sani says the shooting exposes a failure of Ghana's post-election security strategy.
It is an incontrovertible fact that this is perhaps one of the, if not the most well-organized elections in Ghana since the inception of the Fourth Republic. As a matter of fact, a lot of work went into it. We all played a major role as civil society. Different levels were engaged by different actors. We've been around the country to get as many people as involved in the process. But you see, Daniel, if you study critically the security mechanisms that were deployed before and during the elections, trust me, it was by the book. It was crisp, and it is the National Election Security Task Force did almost everything that it had to do so far as security is concerned. The unfortunate thing is we seem not to have had a post-election security strategy, because I understand that immediately after the election, all officers who were deployed, over 62,000, were asked to return to pay. And I think almost all of them were given 1 or 2 days leave. The erroneous belief that so far as the election is over, everything is going to be normal. But you see, from my years of practice and study and research into election security in sub-Saharan Africa, from Kenya to Ivory Coast, to Nigeria in 2003, Zimbabwe, Uganda, etc., I've come to one realization. The most precarious of all times of the 3 election security stages is post-election, because that is when the counting happens. That is when contentious issues come up, with some people crying foul, with some people becoming frustrated.
Now, the Media Foundation for West Africa has joined calls for a thorough investigation into the threats on the lives of some journalists, including Manasseh Azuri-Awuni. The investigative journalist revealed in a recent social media post he has received some intimidating messages and his life is in danger. Executive Director for the foundation, Suleiman Abrahima, lamented that crimes against journalists are largely ignored by the security services. Speaking on Prime Morning on Joy Prime TV, he said his organization is joining efforts to ensure this case is different.
Well, in this particular instance, it calls for swift investigation. And I know Manasseh has reported the matter to the police. And we can only expect that the police would do a very thorough investigation and bring the perpetrator to book. It's important that we go beyond what is happening to Manasseh, to others who have also raised complaints of intimidation, complaints of threats, and I've learned about Efia Pokra raising a similar concern. I've read about Abdulhai Mumin of GDC also making a similar report. And as I said, I think it provides an opportunity for the police to send a clear signal that people cannot threaten others, people cannot just commit crimes against other people and think that they can go scot-free. So we look forward to the police conducting a very swift investigation into all these acts of threat and bringing the perpetrators to book, so that it will send a clear signal to others who may be harboring the same intentions.
Live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Daze. Coming up in business, investments in Ghana's oil sector are expected to rise by 50% next year as the near-term outlook for oil production looks brighter. Daryl Kwao takes us into that crystal ball right after this.
Hi everyone, welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Investments in Ghana's oil sector are expected to rise by 50% next year as the near-term outlook for oil production looks brighter. According to Face Solutions, oil production will still decline by 2% next year as earlier forecast due to weaker capital expenditure. Charles Nixon Yabua has more.
The research arm of ratings agency Fitch said the projected boost in Ghana's oil output will be partly as a result of improved gas offtake performance and higher water injection rates, which will help maintain higher production. In the first half of this year, gas offtake nominations from the Ghana National Gas Corporation increased by 63% at the Jubilee and 10 fields. Tallow Oil, operator of the country's two largest fields, 10 and Jubilee, recently announced that net capital expenditures will increase to $180 million in 2021 from $120 million in 2020. This includes plans for a multi-well drilling campaign expected to begin in the second quarter of next year. Since 10 and Jubilee fields are responsible for 80% of Ghana's total oil production, this investment boost Fitch Solutions said is significant for the country's upstream sector. Aker Energy's Peckham field is also expected to come online in 2025. The anticipated development of the 110,000 barrels of oil per day at Peckham field holds the key to the country's oil future. Meanwhile, Fitch Solutions expect an uptick in oil production to average 2% year-on-year between 2022 and 2024.
Now, countries that have ratified the Continental Free Trade Agreement will go ahead to begin trading from January 2021, despite challenges being faced. Now, with about 3 days to begin official trading under the agreement, some countries are still facing challenges with policy direction towards the deal. According to senior trade officials, the framework for the agreement is making room for such countries that have not finalized their plans and programs to join afterwards. Now, head of the after desk at the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Fenchin Akoto, tells Joy Business come January 1, the Secretariat will announce the official trading for all African countries that have ratified the agreement so far.
When you look at the main framework agreement, there is a provision that we should have in mind that we are all not of the same level in development. Some of the countries are more developed than the others. So in dealing with such countries, we should be very considerate, looking at their level of development. So if any country is not ready, it is right for those developed ones to help them come out with the measures, help them put in place measures that will help them to implement the AFTA. So once they come out with their difficulties, that's why we have a secretariat. The secretariats will take all the will put in the possible measures to make sure that they have the basic things in place for trading to take place. You see, our standard authorities are trying to also come out with solutions to the issue of standardization in the continent. So issues like this will be addressed. It's a very comprehensive agreement that we have come out with, almost in line with what pertains in the WTO. So all those issues will be taken care of. I don't think any country will have issues. If you have an issue, we have a dispute resolution committee within the framework that you have to lodge your complaints to.
Now, AngloGold Ashanti has partnered with the National Board for Small-Scale Industries to create a platform for businesses operating in Obuasi. The initiative is targeted at micro, small and medium enterprises in the Gold City. Officials say the move is critical to grow local businesses and enhance economic activities in the area. Prince Apia was at the opening of the 2020 edition of the annual Obuasi Trade Show and has filed this report.
100 exhibitors are taking part in this year's trade show in Obuasi. Organized by the AngloGold Ashanti Ghana Limited, the week-long event is expected to support local businesses to link up with each other to enhance their operations. Senior Manager Sustainability at AngloGold Ashanti, Emmanuel Beidou, spoke to the media at the opening of the 2020 trade show.
We started this 3 years ago, but as part of the social management plan, we have repackaged these interventions to ensure that its relevance is increased, such that participation is enhanced, and then a lot of initiatives that we have brought on board. And this is the first time we have launched a virtual platform across all the social media platforms so people can participate. We're hoping that this will become even big and bigger as we move forward, so that many people in Obuasi will participate, and the real benefit of it will be seen in the lives of the people in Obuasi.
The National Board for Small-Scale Industries, NBSSI, is providing technical support to the participating businesses to take advantage of government opportunities available to MSMEs. Meanwhile, the Obuasi Municipal and Obuasi East District Assemblies are providing logistics and other support to the businesses.
By the end of this program, countless skills in packaging, management, advertisement of best practices, just to mention but few, will boost the economy of Obuasi and Adamawa as a whole. Diversifying the economy is thought-provoking and cannot be demonstrated at a better time than now.
Prince Apia reporting.
We've got a full bulletin of business news on the marketplace. Up next, sports. Stay tuned.
Thanks for staying with us here on JoyNews today. Let's go to our first sports story. Now, the outcome of the 2019 Ghana Football Association presidential elections divided the football family. And these are the words of former FA Vice President George Afriyie, who's been in the news lately following an exclusive interview granted Joy Sports. Now, he spoke to Muftau Nabila Abdullah of Joy Sports, and he has filed this report.
The 2019 GFA presidential election saw the top three candidates, Kurt Okreku, George Afriyie, and Nanayo Amponsa, secure 44, 40, and 27 votes respectively. Former Vice President of the Ghana Football Association, George Afriyie, who conceded defeat after a second round of delegates casting their ballots, said the outcome of the elections showed that the football family was divided.
If you look at what happened in that election, it showed clearly that our football was divided. The results of the 2019 GFA election shows that the first round was clear. So personally, if I was in the shoes of the president, I will try to bring everybody on board, just to have a united front to execute the agenda of bring back the love.
Mr. Afriyie is calling on the GFA president to bring everyone on board if he wants to succeed as head of the football governing body in the country.
Kurt had 44, I had 40, and I had 27. It was clear. Fred Papo had 7. It was clear. There are still people who believe in Kurt. There are some people who believe in Nanayo. There are some people who believe in George. There are some people who believe in... It's clear. It shows that no clear one person had the total majority of the people. It was clear. You saw it.
But must someone have the total majority of the people?
If someone has that total majority, it shows the total confidence of the whole football family behind you. You don't know that. That is how come Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi was able to rule almost 3 times. Because he had everybody supporting him. See, sometimes when we say these things, it is even good for Kurt. Because when you bring everybody on board, then it gets to a point where nobody even wants to contest you. You are there.
Kurt Okreku was voted GFA president after 3 rounds of voting, which saw him succeed Kwesi Nyantakyi as president of the Ghana Football Association.